To help you sort through the current next-gen catalog, we've compiled this list of the 15 best PS5 games you can play right now. So without wasting time, let's begin. Best 15 trending PS5 games to play right now. Number 15, Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom is a platform video game developed by Japan Studios team, Sony division, and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for the PlayStation 5. A sequel to Astro Bot Rescue Mission, the game comes pre-installed on every console, serving additionally as a free tech demo for the DualSense controller. The game was announced on June 11, 2020 at the PlayStation 5 reveal event. It was released on November 12, 2020. Alongside Demon's Souls, Astro's Playroom was the final game released by Japan Studio before their dissolution in April 2021. Team Asobi was formally spun off into an independent studio within Sony's PlayStation Studios in June 2021. Diving into this little toy box of technical wizardry is a no-brainer. It comes installed on your PS5 for free. Don't discount it though, because as well as being a great way to get to know the DualSense's new features, it's a charming game in its own right. Pilot a glider, climb like a monkey, shoot ball guns in space, fight monsters and find collectibles, and enjoy some cheeky nods to PlayStation history along the way. It's a great showcase for the machine's new technical highlights.
Number 14, Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls is an action role-playing video game developed by Bluepoint Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for the PlayStation 5. The game was released as a launch title for the PlayStation 5 in November 2020. It is a remake of Demon's Souls, originally developed by From Software for the PlayStation 3 in 2009. Japan Studio assisted on its development, which makes Demon's Souls its last game before its merger with Team Asobi. Demon's Souls received critical acclaim from critics, who praised its gameplay, visuals, technical aspects and improvements over the original game. It sold over 1.4 million copies by September 2021. Dying horribly at the hands of a soulless monster has never looked so good.
Number 13, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is a 2021 action-adventure game developed by Edios-Montreal and published by Square Enix's European subsidiary. Based on the Marvel Comics superhero team Guardians of the Galaxy, the game was released for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X on October 26, 2021. We didn't think it was possible for Eidos-Montreal to do its own take on the infamous Marvel space pirates, but it has done just that. You play as Star-Lord, who is leading an early version of the Guardians, just a few years into the crew's life together. They've all just survived an intergalactic war, with Groot, Rocket, Gamera, and Drax all coming with their own tales of loss and woe, with almost alt history backstories. At its heart, this single-player adventure is about learning to operate as a team, both in exploration and combat, and realizing that friends can be just as close as family.
Number 12, Stray. Stray is a 2022 adventure game developed by Blue 12 Studio and published by Annapurna Interactive. The story follows a stray cat who falls into a walled city populated by robots, machines, and mutant bacteria, and sets out to return to the surface with the help of a drone companion, B12. The game is presented through a third-person perspective. The player traverses by leaping across platforms and climbing up obstacles, and can interact with the environment to open new paths. Using B12, they can store items found throughout the world and hack into technology to solve puzzles. Throughout the game, the player must evade the antagonistic Xerxan Sentinels, which attempt to kill them. A game where you play as an adorable orange tabby cat shouldn't really need much more explanation than that, but Stray has more than just a cute protagonist. This is a wonderful platformer, with plenty of puzzling, all wrapped up in an alluring semi-post-apocalyptic story. You'll wander the streets of a city abandoned by humans, leaving no one but robots behind and a whole lot of trash. There are some lovely narrative moments, glorious vistas, and just the right amount of head-scratching to make this a must-recommend. Stray is a third-person adventure game. The player controls a stray cat, who traverses by leaping across platforms and climbing up obstacles, and can open new paths by interacting with the environment, such as climbing in buckets, overturning paint cans, operating a vending machine, and flying at objects.
You intrigue me, Wolf-Kissed. Orphan and sibling, warrior and poet. You are many in one, it seems.
Number 11. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a 2020 action role-playing video game developed by Ubisoft-Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It is the 12th major installment in the Assassin's Creed series, and the successor to 2018's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Principally set in the years 872 to 878 AD, the game recounts a fictional story during the Viking expansions into the British Isles. Players control a Wyvern's daughter, a Viking raider who, while attempting to establish a new Viking clan in England, becomes embroiled in the centuries-old conflict between the Assassin Brotherhood, who fight for peace and liberty, and the Templar Order, who desire peace through control. The game also includes a framing story, set in the 21st century, which follows Layla Hassan, an assassin who relives his memories so as to find a way to save Earth from destruction. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will stand as one of the great entries in the series, thanks to complicated hero liver, the brutal combat, and a wealth of customization options. There's rarely been a better match for the universe's lore than the Viking legends either, so you can expect some very interesting tangents as you explore, try to appease the pagan gods, and go on special dream quests. There's a reason the world has been obsessed with Vikings since they first went pillaging. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a role-playing video game structured around several main story arcs and numerous optional side missions, called world events. The player takes on the role of a Wyvern's daughter, a Viking raider, as they lead their fellow Vikings against the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. The player has the choice of playing Eivor as either female or male, voiced by Cicely Stenspel and Magnus Brun respectively, or letting the game alternate between the two at key moments in the story, with the female avatar depicting Eivor's life and the male avatar depicting the physical appearance of the Isuodin, due to his connection with Eivor.
Of all the creatures in the Imagosphere.
Number 10. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is a 2020 platform game developed by Sumo Digital and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. A spin-off of the Little Big Planet series, it follows Sackboy, and features 3D platforming as opposed to 2.5D in previous entries. It was released for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in November 2020 and Windows in October 2022. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is a platform game. Unlike previous Little Big Planet entries with 2.5D platforming, it features a range of perspectives and 3D movement. Players control Sackboy on world maps which give access to a multitude of platforming levels and bonus content. As Sackboy completes each stage, new ones unlock, allowing him to progress further. All levels contain collectible objects called Dream Robs which must be collected en masse to progress to the end of the game. Sackboy's moveset is greatly expanded from previous entries and players can now slap at will, roll around, nose dive, pick up objects and flutter jump, to name a few. Moves can be chained together to create combos that allow skilled players to travel greater distances. Each level in the game employs a series of interactable objects that require at least one of Sackboy's moves to progress. Sackboy also has access to multiple stages where he can use new power-ups. The grappling hook, now called the claw string, returns from Little Big Planet 2, allowing Sackboy to grab onto object from afar.
Number 9. Ghost of Tsushima, Director's Cut. Ghost of Tsushima is a 2020 action-adventure game developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. The player controls Jin Sakai, a samurai on a quest to protect Tsushima Island during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. Jin must choose between following the warrior code to fight honorably, or using practical but dishonorable methods of repelling the Mongols with minimal casualties. The game features a large open world which can be explored either on foot or on horseback. When facing enemies, the player can choose to engage in a direct confrontation using Jin's katana or to become a legendary warrior known as the Ghost by using stealth tactics to assassinate opponents.
Number 8, Returnal. Returnal is a third-person shooter roguelike video game developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It was released for the PlayStation 5 on April 30, 2021. The game follows Celine Gassos, an astronaut who lands on the planet Atropos in search of the mysterious white shadow signal and finds herself trapped in a time loop. Returnal received generally favorable reviews for its visuals, combat, audio design and technical achievements, though its difficulty and roguelike design were met with mixed opinions. It won several Endier accolades, including Best Game at the 18th British Academy Games Awards. The game is set to release on Windows in early 2023. The game is split into two halves, each consisting of 3 biomes. If the player dies during a run, they are sent to the beginning of the half. Celine has the ability to dash and can later unlock a grappling hook that lets her shoot to predefined points in a room. Players can find a variety of weapons in the game.
So why'd you leave Boston?
Number 7, The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 is a 2022 action-adventure game developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. A remake of the 2013 game The Last of Us, it features revised gameplay, including enhanced combat and exploration, and expanded accessibility options. The single-player story follows Joel, who is tasked with escorting the young Ellie across a post-apocalyptic United States and defend against cannibalistic creatures infected by a mutated strain of the cordyceps fungus. The game includes the expansion The Last of Us, Left Behind, a single-player campaign following Ellie and her best friend Riley. The original game's online multiplayer mode is omitted. The Last of Us Part 1 is a remake of the 2013 video game The Last of Us, an action-adventure game played from a third-person perspective. The player traverses post-apocalyptic environments to advance the story, and uses firearms, improvised weapons, hand-to-hand combat, and stealth to defend against hostile humans and cannibalistic creatures known as the Infected, who have been infected by a mutated strain of the cordyceps fungus.
I've had some practice.
Number 6, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a 2022 action role-playing game developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. Directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki with world-building provided by fantasy writer George R.R. Martin, it was released for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, S on February 25th. In the game, players control a customizable player character on a journey to repair the titular Elden Ring, and become the new Elden Lord. Elden Ring is an action role-playing game played in a third-person perspective, with gameplay focusing on combat and exploration. It features elements similar to those found in other games developed by From Software, such as the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne, and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Set in an open world, players are allowed to freely explore the lands between and its 6 main areas. These locations range from Limgrave, an area featuring grassy plains and ancient ruins, to Khalid, a wasteland home to undead monsters. Elden Ring is one of those games where if you're in, you're in. This is the best game coming out of From Software since the original Dark Souls, taking its particular brand of gameplay to an open world for the first time. It refines, it evolves, and it tweaks the formula to make sure that suffering in its very specific masochistic style has never been this much fun.
Ratchet and Clank! What a wonderful
Number 5,
surprise!
Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart is a 2021 third-person shooter platform game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for the PlayStation 5. It is the 16th installment in the Ratchet and Clank series, with the game serving as a follow-up to 2013's Ratchet and Clank, Into the Nexus. Rift Apart was announced in June 2020 and was released on June 11, 2021. The game shares many gameplay similarities with Ratchet and Clank 2016 and other entries in the series. It retains elements of previous Ratchet and Clank games such as strafing, gunplay, collection of bolts, automatic weapon and health upgrades, manual retaining weapon upgrading and gadgets. The main playable character is Ratchet. He is accompanied by his robotic friend and sidekick Clank, who is hung on his back. Additionally, the game has a playable female Lombax named Rivet. Not only is it the best Ratchet and Clank adventure yet, but it is also a powerful demonstration of what the PS5 can do. Dr. Nefarious has been added again, ripping holes between dimensions. Ratchet and Clank are split up and enlist the help of fellow Lombax, Rivet, to help stitch the universe back together.
This whole island's like a broken record.
Number 4, Deathloop.
Skipping
Deathloop is a
endlessly
first-person
on
shooter video game
fulfilling
developed
day.
by Arkham Lion and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was released on the 14th of September 2021 for Microsoft Windows and PlayStation 5, and on the 20th of September 2022 for Xbox Series X or S. It received generally favorable reviews from critics, who praised the art design and gameplay. Deathloop won Best Game Direction and Best Art Direction at the Game Awards 2021. In Deathloop, the player takes on the role of Colt, an assassin stuck in a time loop who has been tasked to take out 8 targets called Visionaries across the island of Blackreef before midnight, as leaving even one alive will cause the time loop to reset and undo his work. Should Colt die before taking out the 8 targets, he will wake back up at the start of the loop. The player uses a combination of stealth, parkour, attack skills, guns, gadgets, and powers as in Arkham's previous games Dishonored and Prey to move about the game world. They must avoid or take out guards, learn the patterns of Colt's targets, and to figure out the right order to eliminate said targets using guns, melee attacks, or other environmental means. Deathloop offers up a murderous puzzle box for players to break open and figure out. Deathloop is one of those rare games that surprises you, playing out nothing like any of us expected. Lose yourself trying to figure out the mystery of how to kill 8 targets in a single day, where all move around the world of Blackreef living their lives, and rudely not just staying put so you can kill them. The more you experience the loop, the more you learn, and the more you understand about this strange little time-looping world.
I promise.
Number 3, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales is a 2020 action-adventure game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Based on the Marvel Comics character Miles Morales, it is inspired by both the character's decade-long comic book mythology and the 2018 animated film Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, which helped popularize him. The game is a spin-off and successor to Marvel's Spider-Man, 2018, and the second installment in Insomniac's Spider-Man series. The narrative focuses on Miles' struggle to balance the duties of his civilian persona and his role as the second Spider-Man when his new home, Harlem, is threatened by a war between the Roxxon Energy Corporation and a high-tech criminal army called the Underground, led by the mysterious Tinkerer. The core gameplay of Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales is the same of its predecessor. It features the same open world, a fictionalized version of modern-day Manhattan, which is covered in snow because the game is set during the holidays. Miles controls similarly to Peter Parker, but with new animations and abilities, which are unlocked as the storyline progresses.
Number 2, Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West is a 2022 action role-playing game developed by Guerrilla Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. The sequel to 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn, the game is set in a post-apocalyptic version of the western United States recovering from the aftermath of an extinction event caused by a rogue robot swarm. The player can explore the open world and complete quests using ranged and melee weapons against hostile machine creatures. Horizon Forbidden West is an action role-playing game played from a third-person perspective. The player controls Aloy, a hunter in a world populated by dangerous, animalistic machines. In an open world, she explores the mysterious frontier known as the Forbidden West, a post-apocalyptic version of the western United States, specifically the states of California, Nevada, and Utah. Horizon Forbidden West is such a confident sequel. It's not reinventing the wheel, it's another game about saving a world filled with giant robot dinosaurs, but it doesn't have to. Aloy's story is just as compelling as the first game, but with more human elements, interesting new character additions, and tons more personality. It's got some of the best side quests in the gaming space right now too.
Sometimes it's the only way to protect the
ones we love.
Number 1, God of War Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok is an action-adventure game developed by Santa Monica Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It was released worldwide on November 9, 2022, for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, marking the first cross-gen release in the God of War series. It is the 9th installment in the series, the 9th chronologically, and the sequel to 2018's God of War. Loosely based on Norse mythology, the game is set in ancient Scandinavia and features series protagonist Kratos and his teenage son Atreus. Concluding the Norse era of the series, the game covers Ragnarok, the eschatological event which is central to Norse mythology and was foretold to happen in the previous game after Kratos killed the Aesir god Baldur. God of War Ragnarok is a third-person action-adventure game. It features an over-the-shoulder free camera, while cinematographically, the game is presented in a continuous shot, with no camera cuts or loading screens. The gameplay is similar to the previous installment, God of War 2018, and like that game, it is single-player only. Throughout the game, players battle Norse mythological foes, with more enemy types than in the previous game. In addition to enemies found in the previous game, some newer enemy types include Einherjar, wyverns, stalkers, centaur-like creatures with antlers, phantoms, human raiders, and Nookins, among many others. The developers also added more mini-bosses to give the game more variety. God of War Ragnarok is such a fitting end to the end of Kratos' Norse arc, along with Atreus, Mimir, and other returning pals. The story has serious narrative punch, there are some brilliant puzzles, and the combat is a fantastic evolution of the extremely satisfying mechanics from the last game too. This is the one to beat. That's it for today, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, give a like and remember to hit that subscribe button. And comment, which game do you like to play on your PlayStation?